What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to be doing the weekly challenge in Phasmophobia called Detectives Only. And as usual, I always do these weekly challenges live the moment they release, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Twitch. If you ever wanted to tune in when I'm doing it live in the moment on stream, make sure you tune in to _Brotatorship on Twitch. But this one is actually a really fun one. It's because I do so much no evidence gameplay called Detectives Only, and this is a no evidence gameplay on Edgefield. But I always try to tell people that this is not so much a punishment. It's not supposed to be really hard. This is a good entryway into no evidence gameplay if you've never done it before. And if you want to test your knowledge of ghost abilities and how they work, this is a good way to get started. I'm going to kind of explain why that is as we do it. If you're familiar with my content, it's going to be able to help you give you reference as well. So let's get started. Edgefield, let's do it. So if you ever tune into my no evidence gameplay streams or video content, I do 10.62 or 10.32 times no evidence, no sanity, no hiding, and no grace period games of Phasmophobia. Now that's a high extreme that you should not be going into that if you're looking to just start in doing no evidence gameplay for the first time or for the first few times. This is more of the way you should be going about it, where you have sanity pills to restore your sanity, and you have that ability to try to do ghost testing outside of a hunt. Because when you have no sanity, the ghost could be hunting every 25 seconds on cooldown, or every 20 seconds if it's a demon. That's not a lot of time to try to get things done. And obviously, if you repel it with an incense here, that's going to stop it from hunting for 1:30, or 60 seconds if it's a demon, or 3 minutes if it's a spirit. But that's not a lot of time to get anything done either. So especially if you're looking for perfect games with the Chronicle system now, where you got to get those unique photos and videos and sound recordings, and you have to get your objectives completed, you're going to need a lot more time to try to get that done without the ghost constantly hunting you down. And this is going to be the way for you to do that. So this is a great way to learn, and I highly recommend for anybody looking to start no evidence gameplay to do this weekly challenge. But just to see the stuff we have in the van here, we have all tier 1 gear, except for this tier 2 headlamp, which is great because that means you can take one of these and you don't have to bog down your inventory with a tier 1 flashlight to see. So that's awesome. But to find the ghost room, what we want to get doing here is we want to figure out where the ghost room is. So I'm going to bring in a thermometer because the thermometer is going to tell me the coldest temperature location in the house, which is going to be the ghost room guaranteed. And then from there, I'm probably also going to bring an EMF reader. And then from there, I'm also going to be bringing in a candle and an igniter that's not going to take up an inventory spot. Now, I know this is a little bit interesting. I'm taking in an igniter and a firelight before I'm taking in the incense, and that's because I don't have to worry about the ghost hunting me as quickly. Let's get inside there and try to find the ghost room first and foremost and get that power on. The power's got to be on to get all the temperatures in the location nice and warm, so that way the ghost room stays colder and everything else warms up. I'm going to hold down T to turn on my headlamp, and that's going to allow me to have that free inventory spot, not having that flashlight, and we're going to go inside. Now, I always tell people, they ask me sometimes, why do I not open the door when I start? The moment you open that door, it's allowing the ghost room to start getting colder and allowing the ghost to possibly start changing room. So if you get that door open earlier, the ghost room's going to get cold earlier because, like, let's say, for example, the ghost room is right here in the living room when I walked in. It's not going to be cold yet. Its temperatures haven't started to get to that level yet. So this may be the ghost room, but I wouldn't know it because it's reading in here right now around 9 to 10 degrees. So it's not cold yet. So you want to get that door open nice and early to get everything where it needs to be. Is the breaker? Here it is. Let's get that breaker on. Now, if you've never used tier 1 thermometer before, or if you just don't know how to use tier 1 thermometer, you want to start roaming around and figuring out what your baseline temperature is. Now, that temperature we saw inside the living room is probably our baseline temperature. Looks like it's around 10 degrees. So what we're looking for is we're looking to go inside of a room and start seeing that red bar drop from 10 degrees to way low, almost close to 5. That's what we're looking for. And as the breaker is on, it may even start going above 10 degrees because it's going to heat up. So don't be too surprised if you see that. You're just looking for a drastic change of the red bar to where it starts going down towards 5 degrees. That's more than likely going to be your room. And also for this weekly challenge, you do have a guaranteed Ouija board. So if you want to ask where the ghost room is, you could do that. But I'm not going to do that because I want to show you how to get the ghost room with the thermometer. Now look at this. Without even doing anything, it already has touched that door right there. And it turned off the light in here too. And it gave me a misform event. There's one ghost in the entirety of Phasmophobia that cannot give you a misform event. And that ghost would be the Oni. The Oni just doesn't have the ability to do that event. So that's one less we have to worry about. The bone is in here. I'm going to pick it up. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to be inside this bathroom. Since it touched that bathroom door, we want to see, is it in this room? Now, the temperature is sitting around that 10 mark. It actually looks like it's going above 10, so I don't think it's going to be in here. That's too warm. Let's go inside the kitchen now and see, do we have colder temperatures in the kitchen than we did in the bathroom? And the red bar is starting to go below 10 just a little bit. And then it's stopping, and it's going back up. So we have a lot of inconsistencies and fluctuation in the tier 1 thermometer. That's why you want to get tier 2 thermometer as quickly as you possibly can, because this one is not great. Oh, I see my breath in here. This is more than likely going to be the ghost room. When you see that breath from your character, that means it's 5 degrees Celsius or less inside that room guaranteed. And we can already see the red bar starting to slowly make its way down towards that 5-degree mark to confirm that. So we have our ghost room. Now, I'm going to put this firelight down to do audio testing later, but I want to go get some more stuff from the van first. I'm going to bring in some salt to test for Wraith. I'm going to bring in a crucifix to protect myself, just in case the ghost is going to do something crazy. And I want to bring in a video camera with a tripod. Now, although this is no evidence gameplay, a Mimic would still have ghost orbs inside of the favorite room. They're fake orbs because they're Mimic, but it's part of the ghost's ability and not evidence, so it still counts. Oh, look at that. Look at that right there. The ghost has closed this door on its own when I was not even really inside the house or when I was walking back in. So Yuri door slam is definitely possible on this one. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. Let's turn off the lights and see if we have any orbs in here. Turn off my headlamp so I can see a little bit better on the camera as well. Make sure you really get a good view for orbs, because sometimes they can be hiding inside of an object in that room. Like they could be inside that shelf there. They may not be showing well. So you want to be able to look for that. And a great thing about the Chronicle update as well is if there was orbs, I would see a little rectangle show up my camera, my video camera. It would say, record ghost orb. And I don't see that right now, so I don't think there's ghost orbs here after all. I'm going to double check inside this room too. Well, hi, Ghosty. Ghosts did a little event for us. Love that. And I don't see any ghost orbs in the kitchen either. So I don't think we have a Mimic. No Mimic orbs happening here. Let's go back inside this room. And we're going to put some salt down. I'm going to put a salt in the doorway, and I'm going to put a salt in the room. That way, if the ghost walks in or out of here, it'll have to walk through that salt. It's not going to be able to avoid that. We got a door touch. Door touch happening here. Now we're going to put our crucifix down as well. Since it did a footstep inside that salt, we know it's not Wraith, because Wraith cannot walk in the salt. So Wraith is out. Now I'm going to light up the firelight and see if we have Onryo. Onryo is going to blow out the same candle twice in less than 20 seconds. So we're going to see if that happens. And one thing to note about Shade is a Shade typically does not blow out a firelight inside the same room as a player. But the interesting thing about that is this is such a small room that if the Shade was technically in the kitchen, it could still blow out that candle from here if I was in this room. So I wouldn't be in the same room as it. It would blow it out from the next room over. So never eliminate Shade if you're dealing with a smaller room like that, because it might have blown out the firelight from a different room. Blew it out. Let's do it again. If it blows it out again less than 20 seconds, we have Onryo guaranteed. Let's see what happens here over the next 20 seconds. Another breath event. Gonna turn this light back on. A very eventy ghost. That's like 3 events we've gotten for this thing so far. And at least at the moment, the ghost is not blowing out the candle. So we do not have a successful Onryo, at least at this given time. Now, outside of the ghost hunt, some other things you could be testing for, really obviously, is this, the Onryo test. You could be seeing if it's going to shut the door for Yuri door slam. You can see if it's going to do a double throw for possible poltergeist bomb. So you can make a little polter pile inside the room and see if it's going to do that big explosion of stuff. That is all things you could do outside of a hunt, and that's why it's so great to be able to have sanity and be able to restore your sanity onto evidence gameplay, because it's giving you a lot of opportunities to do these things, whereas when I do it in my gameplay, I don't have a lot of free time because the ghost is always hunting me. Oh, another breath event. Yeah, I would be super surprised if this is Shade. I mean, there's so many events happening back to back to back. I think at this point I'm going to get rid of it. But one thing to remember, the only event the Shade 100% cannot do would be a singing event. So if you hear it singing Ring Around the Rosie, or if it's humming or singing in general, you do not have a Shade. Now, none of the events we've had so far, to my knowledge, have been singing events, so I don't think that is going to be the case, but this is one of those things you should keep in the back of your mind in case you're looking to see if you have a Shade. The ghost is hunting. I'm going to try to remain in here. Actually, I think we're going to try to get to a safer area because the ghost has left this area. It's hunting already. Oh, no hiding spots available inside the garage. Now, the first thing we want to do after this hunt's over, which I think it is now, is we want to see what our sanity was at the level it hunted. Because if it's an early hunter, that's going to point to what it could be. Oh, our sanity is way lower than I thought it was. And it's because we got evented so many times. It kept depleting our sanity over time. So this ghost did its first hunt probably below 50% sanity. So it's not going to be an early hunter, unfortunately. But it did sound a little bit faster. Now, what I noticed when I was in there is the ghost turned off the lights. I can't turn the lights on. The breakers have been turned off. One ghost that can't turn off the breaker would be Jin. The only way the Jin would ever turn off the breaker is if you, the player, or the Jin itself has turned on so many lights that it overloaded the breaker and it tripped it by accident. That would be the only way. So since the ghost sounded a little bit faster in there, we're going to eliminate some ghosties that are actually not possible to be that fast. So I'm going to eliminate all the normal speed ghosts. Spirit, Polter, Mare, Demon, Yokai, Myling. Olbake, Onryo, Yuri, Banshee, Phantom, Shade, Gorio, and that's pretty much about it. Now, the ghost had no idea where I am. The one ghost that always knows where you are no matter what is the Diogen. We can eliminate that automatically. And the rest of them I will leave there for the time being, although to be honest, Revenant's not possible either, because when the Revenant does not know where a player is and it has no clue where they're hiding, it's like one footstep every second, one of the slowest ghosts in the game. But the moment it knows where they are, whether it sees them, senses their electronics, or hears their voice, it's going to speed up to that direction and last heard them and last located them at 3 meters a second. If it gets there and it cannot find them again, it'll return back to the slow speed. So since it wasn't a slow speed when it didn't know where we were, it's not a Revenant. Let's go back inside now. And now we definitely want to incense and the igniter we have in our inventory, because this is the time where we have to repel the ghost and really try to see what do we have. Now, without doing any more ghost determinations or removals inside of our journal, I'm going to let it hunt and just see what we got. Let's try to observe its behavior. I actually don't know where that ghost hunt started because it definitely wasn't inside the ghost room. It was a little bit outside of the ghost room, so it could have been roaming or wandering at the time, but then hunted somewhere in an adjacent room. Like, it sounded like it was more in the kitchen or bathroom, and then it ended up running upstairs or downstairs to the basement. All right, it's hunting again. Faster speeds. Hi, Ghosty. Okay. Looking to see if the ghost is gaining speed the longer it sees me. And it's not. It's definitely not. It's maintaining. That's what I was doing around that couch there. I wanted to see, as I got the ghost around and around the couch, because it could see me. I was not crouching or anything like that. It saw me. There was no line of sight speed. It was not increasing speed the longer it saw me. So that means that it can't be Maroi, Raiju, or twins. Now, Hantu and Fae, both of them, have the inability to gain line of sight speed. The Hantu speed is determined based on the temperature of the room. The Fae speed is determined based on the age of the Fae. And you can age a Fae by being inside the ghost room with it or being within 3 meters of the Fae. Now remember, we've probably been hanging around the Fae a little bit. It's probably aged marginally, so it could be a little bit slower. Now, one of the big things that I know this isn't a Hantu is because I didn't see any Hantu breath. Remember, we don't have the power on. When the power is not on, that means that the Hantu will be showing breath coming out of its mouth everywhere in the location. But if the power is on, you will not see that breath coming out of its mouth. There was no breath coming out of its mouth with the power on, so it's no Hantu. We have a Fae guarantee. So when you have a faster or a slower ghost, it's a pretty easy ghost because you've already eliminated over 3/4 of the ghost types in the game. So that's always a bit of a benefit. And then if you have a ghost that does normal speed, then you really have to start getting into a lot of those other ghost possibilities. Let's get out of the front door. Our first game of the challenge is completed. Now, if I wasn't sure and I wanted to take more sanity pills and go back inside, I have that opportunity. And the great thing about that is that if you have that ability to go back inside without the ghost constantly hunting you, you can perform more ghost tests to be able to eliminate more possibilities without being in immediate danger. And that's a really good thing. And that's one of the things I wish I had on some of the games I played, but I don't because I have no sanity, no grace period, no way to restore my sanity either. So, let's get out of here. Lock it in, Faye. Round number 1 completed. And a Fae it was. That's one done. Let's get back in there and do round number 2 now. Remember, you have to do this 3 times. So we did it once. We got to go 2 more. Let's go. Before I go inside, I'm going to go and see where my power is. It's on the first floor inside of the garage. So I'm going to get my thermometer, EMF reader, firelight, igniter. It's not going to take up an inventory spot, and tier 2 headlamp. That's not going to take up an inventory spot either. And we're going to go inside. We got snow this time. Now notice, before I even go inside, my thermometer, tier 1, is reading 5 degrees. That means the entirety of the inside is going to be 5 degrees until I get that breaker on, and it starts turning on the furnace to heat everything up. So everything is going to be cold and showing breath until I get that breaker on and heat some stuff up. Let's do that quickly. And hopefully, the ghost room will remain cold as everything else gets warmer. Also, a real quick call out, because I'm just remembering that last round we had a Fae that we had the Ouija board guaranteed. If you wanted to, at the beginning of the round, you could have asked the Ouija board, how old are you? It would have given you a number, any number. And then later on in the round, when you were near that ghost room and you were aging that Fae and you asked it again, it would have given you a different, older number. That's one way you would have known you had a Fae, is because it was aging inside the round and the Ouija board confirmed it. So a little bit of a trick there. You could figure out Faes just with the Ouija board alone. All right, inside the kitchen here, we see that we're going up to 10 degrees on the thermometer. So this is pretty warm in here. What do we got going on in the bathroom? And I'm keeping my ears open to listen for any possible interactions that may be about. Temperature inside the bathroom is still a little too warm. It's still around that, like, you know, middle ground between 5 and 10 degrees, so I think it's too warm. Check main hallway. I like to keep the lights on as I go through one room to the next because that's allowing me to preserve my sanity in a well-lit area. Just turned off the breakers. That's not a gym. Breaker's been turned off. One ghost already down. Let's go get that breaker back on. There's one ghost that has a double percentage chance to turn off the breaker than any other ghost in the game. It's Hantu. Always keep that in the back of your mind. If you notice the ghost is turning off the breaker a lot, maybe you want to check out for Hantu. So it's not here in the piano room either. I'm going to go upstairs then. Maybe go up here. Hold on a second. Just lit that candle. So that means it's actually somewhere nearby because I didn't light that candle. The ghost did. Is it inside the hallway then? Temperature right here in the hallway. It looks like it is starting to work its way down. Yeah, it's going for... Oh, hunt! I wonder what level it's hunting at. Because I feel like my sanity should be a little bit higher still. Sounds like a normal speed ghost from what I could tell, although I wasn't able to hear its footsteps that closely. Yeah, definitely a normal speed ghost. And look at this. It blew out the candle as well. There's one ghost in the game that cannot light firelights on its own, and that would be Onryo, because Onryos are scared of flames, so it would make no sense to be able to light up their own flame. So no Onryo happening on this round. So we'll leave that candle there. So we have a ghost room inside of the main hallway. And this hunted well before 50% sanity, so we do have an early hunter. So that's good to know. Let's talk about real quick which ghosts in Phasmophobia are early hunters based on sanity level. So some of those ghosts would be Demon, obviously, because Demon's ability is to bypass sanity thresholds. It kind of hunts super early. That's why it's able to hunt within the first 60 seconds to get you your Doomslate achievement. So that is possible there. So Demon is possible on this list for sure. Another ghost that can hunt early would be Mare at 60% sanity if the lights are off in the room. But if the lights are on, it cannot hunt until 40% sanity. That's a possibility, although we're not exactly at 60% sanity yet, so I would say that even Mare would be a bit of a stretch. Raiju could hunt early as well if there was electronic equipment nearby to allow it to speed up and have more energy. Now, I don't think there's any electronic equipment actually in here. I'm just going to confirm. I don't think so, unless it was my flashlight that kind of did it, but I doubt it. Because I don't think we had the EMF reader there at first. I think I just put that there. So there really shouldn't have been any electronic equipment in the area to have allowed it to get faster. But we could always test for Raiju just to be sure in case we miss something. If you're talking a lot in-game, there's a possibility for the yokai to hunt as early as 80% sanity. I was talking to you, the video here, everybody watching, but I was not talking in-game, so I don't think it's going to be yokai. And a young Fae could hunt at a higher sanity threshold as well. But the young Fae would have been substantially faster, I believe, than the ghost that we just had during that hunt. So I don't think it's going to be Fae either. So to be honest, this really seems like it's leaning towards the Demon realm. Now, one thing we could do to test for demon is we could take an incense, maybe 2 of them even, just to protect ourselves, repel it, and then start a repel timer. Now, a repel timer happens the moment the repel impacts the ghost. So the moment the ghost gets disoriented during the hunt, we start the timer then. Don't wait for the hunt to end. It will be inaccurate. Do it the moment you repel the ghost, and we'll see if it hunts less than 1:30 after it gets repelled. Because if it does, it's got to be a demon. There's the only ghost that can hunt that early, unless we start a cursed hunt to happen. Because if you break the cursed object, it can start a cursed hunt at any time. So that is another thing to keep in factor. So if you have a ghost hunt early, make sure none of your friends inside the lobby have broken or used the cursed object to get one over on. Now, it's also worth mentioning that the demon does not have to hunt early. There are lazy demons out there. I had a demon that didn't hunt for 6 minutes. Why? Literally no idea, but it does happen. So make sure you double, triple check your repel timers and do them more than once. Let's get in there. Okay. Now, it may end up hunting right here in the living room. I do hear some sink water on, too. And since the ghost was normal speed, we can get rid of Moroi because it's not fast with lower sanity. And then get rid of Diogen, he didn't know where I was. Get rid of the young thing. Get rid of Raiju. More than likely, I'm going to have my electronics on during this hunt just to see if it speeds up for Raiju. Because we want to know if it hunts early because I had electronics nearby. We get rid of faster or slower twin. It was normal speed. It wasn't fast or slow like twins would be. No Hantu because it wasn't fast in the hallway where it would have been colder because Hantus are faster in colder rooms. And it's not Revenant speed. And that's pretty much all we can get rid of as far as speed goes alone. Ghost is hunting. Let's let it come on over here. We're going to repel this thing. Come here, Ghosty. We're going to try to repel it closer to the end of the hunt, too. Don't know how long these hunts typically last on this difficulty, so we're going to just repel it now. Started my timer. And once that light turns off, the hunt is over. Because when the hunt's over, all the lights that were turned on get turned off. Turn off the sink in here, and the time is running. It's already been 13, 14 seconds since I've repelled the ghost. So we're just going to sit here and wait and see what happens. Also, during that hunt, my flashlight on my head was on during the whole thing. It never sped up when it got around active electronics during the hunt. So the Raiju is definitely a no. Seems like the ghost has turned on the sink again. It really wants to wash those dishes. It has now been 1 minute officially since I repelled it. So if it wants to hunt again, it's the demon. It could hunt right now. So we're looking to see, is it going to hunt earlier than 1:30? And it surely has. Hi, ghost. Let's repel. Try to get somewhere safe. Maybe upstairs. Maybe we can find a closet open. I think this closet was open last time. It is. So we have a demon. It hunted at 1:20, which is 10 seconds earlier than any other ghost in the game. So demon is locked in for sure. Now, it could always be a mimic, right? It could be a mimic mimicking a demon. Mimic's always a possibility. It's why it's one of my favorite ghosts in the game. Because you can never be 100% sure you have the ghost you think you have if a mimic is possible. But always keep in mind, a mimic can change the ghost that it's mimicking every 30 seconds to 2 minutes outside of a hunt. So if you suddenly don't see the ghost ability anymore that you did have, it's a mimic guaranteed. Because a ghost doesn't just stop doing its ability typically, unless it's a certain type of ability that could just disappear due to environmental factors. But just for the heck of it, we'll put down a video camera in there and see. It's right in the hallway, right? That's where the ghost room was, so we'll put one right here in the front of the door. Go back to the van, see if we have any Orbeez. Go to our new CCTV camera here from the Chronicle update. Video camera 01, night vision. Nice, good view of the whole hallway there. I don't see any orbs in this view. So I'm going to say no mimic. I'm going to go demon, and we're going to get out of here for round number 2 that has now been completed. Let's go. Nice. Simple. That's another great thing about having Sanity on No Evidence gameplay. You can try to determine, do you have an early hunting ghost? Because there's only a handful of ghosts that could possibly hunt early. Nice, we're done. Let's do another one. We got to go for our 3rd round, right? We got 2, we got to do 1 more. Same loadout again. This time, the breaker is going to be in the garage once more. Thermometer, EMF reader, firelight, igniter, and a head camera. Let's go in there. Got fog this time, so it should be relatively normal temperature, sitting around that 10 to 15 degree mark. Oh, I already heard a throw happen somewhere. I definitely heard that. Look at this. Did it just throw that plate? I could have swore I saw that plate move, but there's no EMF reading on it, so I guess not. Maybe I was seeing something crazy. But it's somewhere on the first floor. I definitely heard a thrower interaction on the first floor. And I'm sure something will be out of place if we look around hard enough for it. Everything on the table appears to be there. What about in the kitchen? Is anything in the kitchen amiss? Both of the plates and the cups are there. That cup is there. The knife is in its spot. I'm gonna go check out the living room real quick. What about all the shoes over here? All the shoes look good. Oh! Interesting. Always an event. Now, I got real excited there because I turned on the light switch. The moment I turned the light switch on, it got turned off, which is very similar to the mirror ability. But as you can tell, it was actually an event that turned off the light switch nearby. It was just crazy timing where an event happened to turn off the light switch the moment I turned it on. So I'm gonna be careful about that mirror ability because sometimes you get a false positive or something like that, or just bad timing in general. I heard another throw again. It really sounded like it came from somewhere over here. I'm not gonna lie. What is the temperature inside this room? Temperature in this room was going down. It's going down to 10. I think this is our ghost room, to be honest. And one of the only good things about the tier 1 thermometer is I can leave the thermometer here and it'll continue reading the temperature in the area even when I'm not holding it. We can go back to our van and get more stuff while it's figuring out the thermometer temperature. Let's grab ourselves a crucifix in case it's an early hunter again like it was last round. And we will grab salt for wraith testing. And, I don't know, maybe we'll bring in the video camera for the orbs again. You can always use motion sensors and parabolic to test for Banshee if you think you may have a roaming ghost. Let's go check out that thermometer and see what we got before we put down our salt. Thermometer is now reading. Yeah, it's almost 5 degrees, so this is the ghost room for sure. So it did touch something on this table, but it wasn't giving me EMF on it for whatever reason. Probably some sort of a bug. Let's turn off the light so we can see some Orbeez, possibly, for Mimic. My eyesight's not very good. It's so hard to see any possible orbs on this tiny camera screen. Sometimes I have to put it down and go look from the van instead because it has a bigger screen there. I don't, at least at the initial phase, see any orbs in here. So I'm going to say probably no Mimic. We'll get rid of it for right now. Now I'm going to put down some salt. I'll put salt here, and I'll put salt, like, here, in case it tries to walk out. It's only 2 piles, and they're pretty small piles, but it has walked in one already, so no Wraithy McWraitherson. Let's get a candle lit and see if we have audio ability happening. Walk to the other salt, too. And this is great. We don't even have to really make a polter pile because this table is kind of serving as that for us. So if we see everything fly off the table at the same time or everything get elevated off the table at the same time, it's going to be a poltergeist. Ooh, look at this. The candle has been lit over here on its own once again, so no Onryo happening here. Okay. So those are 3 ghosties that have been eliminated already just from just being here, just sitting and waiting. We'll put our crucifix in the area. We just played the piano there very poorly, I may add. Ghost, you gotta do it like this. They call me Bro Tovin. All right. The ghost has turned off the breaker on us, I think. It sure has. No Jin. 4 ghosts eliminated before a hunt has even happened. We're being so efficient with our time here. I say we just let the ghost hunt at this point. Maybe we cause the cursed hunt to happen and get to it. Grab our 2 incenses and try to really figure out what we got here. Grab 1, 2, maybe even grab a motion sensor. Because if you wanted to see if you had a possible roaming ghost, you can see if a ghost was going to roam out of this room, into the hallway, into the kitchen, into this back room at you by just putting down the motion sensor here while you stayed in this room. And if you saw that motion sensor trigger off once, twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times, that would tell you that the ghost is trying to roam out of its favorite room to where you are, which would let you know it could be Wraith teleportation, could be phantom roaming, it could be Banshee roaming and you're the target. There's a couple different possibilities of it to be one of those 3 stalking ghost types. So this is one way to be able to test for that if you didn't want to go the Banshee parabolic route. We'll leave this here in case we want to do that later, but for right now, let me get the Ouija board and we're going to get this started. Let's ask it some important question. Do you like potatoes? No! Do you like me? No, that makes sense. I'm basically a potato. We had a breath event on top of us. No Oni. Oni can't do misform. Goodbye. Now, if you're wondering why I just said goodbye, it's because when a ghost event's on top of you, it has that opportunity to stick around that area where it just evented before it goes back to its favorite room. So if I would have broken that Ouija board there after the event, the ghost could have spawned on top of me and immediately unalived me. It's hunting anyway right now on its own. Get our repel timer going just in case we need it. Hello. Normal speed ghost. That does have line of sight speed. It's getting faster, longer it sees me, and I saw Obaki a shapeshift. Now, I kind of already knew it was an Obaki the moment it walked into the room, and maybe I'll try to, in the edit of this video, show you exactly why. Because the moment the ghost walked into the room, I almost saw it trip on itself. And when you see the ghost trip like that, it's almost telling you that the ghost basically morphed. It shapeshifted into its own ghost model. So the Butcher ghost model we just had shapeshifted Obake into the same ghost model it already was to give you that tripping effect. Now, that is the case there, but I always tell people, don't only rely on that. Make sure you actually see it change into a different ghost model before you make your final determination and get out of the round, because you could see that, and it could be some weird glitch that we don't know about, but I could definitely tell you that it is possible for the Obaki to shapeshift into the same ghost model, and that's kind of what it looks like when you see that animation happen. Now, we've already looked for orbs, so we're good there. The ghost cannot hunt for 1:30 since we've repelled it. That's how long a normal ghost cannot hunt after you repel it. So we are good to get out of here. We know it's not the Mimic because no orbs. We're going to lock in Obake. Another good round, and that's the weekly challenge. Let's freaking go. Now, obviously, I did not get my $5,000 and 5,000 XP because I already completed this weekly challenge live on Sunday on my Twitch account at _Brotatorchip the moment the weekly challenge resets every week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure if you ever want to see it live on stream that you tune on in and hang out with us in chat. But I always love doing these videos here on YouTube to show you all in a nice, more slowed down approach where there's not a lot of chaos happening with chat, how this works, and hopefully help you guys out with some educational, entertaining content for Phasmophobia as well. Again, I really do think this is a great intro to no evidence gameplay if you've never done it before. Good for testing your ghost ability knowledge and being able to see in a very controlled environment where you can tell how much sanity you have and don't have and restore your sanity if you want to, what kind of ghost tests you're capable of doing and giving you more time to do them. So definitely give this a shot. You could do it with a group of people as well. You could have up to 4 people on the weekly challenge. You could have a full squad. And you get into Edgefield and go do the detectives only because you are a pro ghost hunter detective. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the Chronicle update and all the new media systems and other systems it has. I heard the new progression system is incredible for allowing you to choose which way you're going to unlock your gear now. And it's better for people who are looking to prestige. It's a little bit more player-friendly overall, so I hope that's true. I'm prestige 20, so I haven't really been able to dive into that. But who knows, maybe I'll reset my prestige someday and go back to prestige 1 and start all over again to be able to experience with y'all. You never can tell. But until I see you all next time, I hope you have some amazing ghost hunts. And more importantly than anything else, stay crispy. We'll catch you later.